What happens when your reality is literally just a fragment of someone else's memory? Just imagine it. You wake up, you go about your normal day, but slowly, the world around you starts glitching. People just vanish, rooms completely shift, and then the terrifying realization hits you. You aren't actually real. You're just a ghost trapped inside a broken mind. That is the absolutely visceral, mind-bending dilemma at the heart of the story we're diving into today. Welcome to this explainer of Quantum Voyage, The Black Hole. Released in 2016, this indie sci-fi thriller boasts a really solid 7.4 rating on IMDb, and honestly, it's easy to see why. It's a fascinating film because it completely blurs the lines between deep psychological trauma and high-concept quantum mechanics. So today, we're going to untangle this complex web together. We'll break down the real science hidden in the script and figure out exactly what happened to our main character, Maddie Carver. The story doesn't waste any time. It pulls us right in by putting us directly in the shoes of a high school student named Maddie. At first, things seem pretty normal, but then her reality starts glitching in these genuinely terrifying ways. She's just walking down the school hallway, and suddenly her classmates literally vanish into thin air. She notices the school therapist's office keeps moving to totally different locations. A teacher, Mr. Willis, opens his gradebooks, and they're full 1 second and completely blank the next. And on top of all that, there are these crazy auditory hallucinations. Maddie keeps hearing this phantom violin playing from absolutely nowhere. During her actual musical rehearsals, the timing of the piece is completely thrown off, and she even blacks out. It's so disorienting, and it acts as this brilliant cinematic mystery box that lets us know right away the rules of this universe are fundamentally broken. Then the mystery escalates big time. Maddie gets abducted by two strange men, Edgar and Deep. But here's the thing. They don't want money. Instead, they drag her into a mysterious church to deliver this horrifying truth. Edgar looks her dead in the eye and says, "You're a thought, a figment. This whole place is just in somebody's head." Talk about an absolute gut punch of a twist, right? Her entire existence, the school, her friends, it's all just an illusion. It's a constructed reality playing out inside someone's mind, kind of like a movie being projected on a screen. Unlocking the true timeline. Now, because the film throws this chaotic mix of flashbacks, dream sequences, and glitching realities at us, we really need to untangle it and establish the true physical chronology of events. So let's look at the actual sequence of events that led to this bizarre scenario. It all kicks off when Maddie and her best friend Jess decide to skip school for the day. They end up at the Science Museum and spend the afternoon on this sort of unofficial date at the planetarium. It's this beautiful, expansive place that gets them thinking about space, time, and the universe. But the joy of that day is completely shattered later that night. On the drive home, they get into a horrific car crash. The timeline then violently jumps forward 1 month later, and we get the grim reality. They aren't dealing with some supernatural Twilight Zone here. They are dealing with the tragic aftermath of a devastating physical accident. And the truth of that accident is just heart-wrenching. As these fragmented memories finally piece themselves together, we learn that Mr. Willis, the science teacher, was actually the one driving the vehicle when the crash happened. But it was Jess who took the absolute worst of the physical toll. She suffered a massive traumatic brain injury, with a large piece of metal actually lodged in her skull. Her corpus callosum, which is that thick band of nerve fibers connecting the two hemispheres of the brain, was completely severed. Physically, Jess is lying in a hospital bed in a vegetative state. Her eyes are open, but she doesn't even blink. But here is the wild part. The doctors note that she still has incredibly active brainwaves. So physically, she is immobilized, but mentally, she is entirely awake. Spooky action at a distance. To understand how Jess's active brainwaves are somehow creating this glitching shared reality, we need to pause and look at the real-world science proposed by Mr. Willis in the film. He acts as our on-screen science communicator, and he proposes this wild hypothesis to explain their shared dream state. He brings up quantum entanglement. So what exactly is that? Well, in real-world physics, this is a phenomenon where two subatomic particles, like electrons, become intimately linked. Once they're entangled, whatever happens to one particle instantly affects the other one, regardless of the physical distance between them. It could be an inch, it could be a billion light years. Albert Einstein famously struggled with this concept. He found it so unnerving that he actually called it spooky action at a distance. In the film, Mr. Willis suggests that because of the intense, shared trauma of the car crash, Maddie and Jess have become quantumly entangled. And this is where we really see how the film takes a massive creative leap to serve its emotional narrative. Let's look at the difference here. In real science, quantum entanglement applies strictly to subatomic particles, but the fiction of the film scales this micro-level physics all the way up to the macro level of human minds. It suggests that a trillion electrons in Maddie's and Jess's brains established a telepathic link forged by their shared trauma, and that link trapped their consciousnesses together in a realm where linear time and physical space just no longer apply. This scientific theory builds into the core mechanics of the movie's climax, operating as this quantum memory loop. First, you have Jess lying at her coma, experiencing just intense, unresolved anger and guilt about the crash. Second, because they are entangled, Jess's emotional frequency actively alters their shared quantum realm. Third, this causes Maddie's perceived reality, the high school, her teachers, her friends, to glitch out, shift, and break down. And finally, because that trauma remains unresolved, the memory loop hits a dead end, resets, and forces them to relive the exact same fractured story over and over again. At the very center of this infinite loop is Jess's deeply rooted psychological pain. When Maddie finally confronts her in this dream space, Jess's true motivations are laid totally bare. She admits, "I was always second string to people like you. And then something happened. I became powerful." In the real world, Jess felt like a nobody, like she was just a supporting character in Maddie's perfect life. But in this coma-induced quantum realm, Jess is literally a god. She controls the environment, the people, even those phantom violins we heard earlier. She's desperately clinging to this fabricated universe because it gives her the power and the significance she felt she always lacked in reality. Breaking the loop. Obviously, they can't just stay in this loop forever. Eventually, the characters realize they have to find a way out. And here is where the movie makes a really profound statement. Science alone cannot solve a problem that is fundamentally rooted in human psychology. Just knowing about quantum entanglement isn't enough to escape it. They need something much deeper. Ms. Karloftis and Mr. Willis deduce that if human minds can be linked like quantum particles, they must be communicating on specific frequencies. The trap keeping them in the loop is tuned to the frequencies of blame, anger, and unending guilt over the car accident. So the key to breaking it? The only way to change the channel, so to speak, is to overpower it with the only human energies truly capable of transcending space and time: unconditional love and genuine forgiveness. This leads us directly into the film's poignant emotional resolution. Maddie realizes she just has to stop running from the trauma. In the dream space, she fully confronts the truth of the accident. She finally accepts that her best friend is in a hospital bed and, sadly, isn't coming back. By offering genuine forgiveness and letting go of that profound guilt she's been carrying, Maddie changes the energetic frequency. The cycle of blame shatters, the quantum loop breaks, and the timeline finally resets to the harsh but true reality. The film ends on this beautifully bittersweet note. Maddie, back in the real world, bravely walks out onto the stage to play her violin recital. She isn't glitching anymore. She is playing through her grief, honoring the memory of her friend, and finally, truly moving forward with her life. It's an incredibly moving ending that takes this high-concept sci-fi idea and grounds it entirely in the very real human experience of grief and acceptance. And it leaves us with a fascinating question to chew on. If our memories are just movies our brains play to help us make sense of the world, what story are you looping in your own mind? Are you trapped in a cycle of your own making, or are you ready to change the frequency? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you